If we go and remove all social anxiety for children with special needs, especially with Down syndrome, how will they learn? And that is an excellent question. I am the Queen of Down Syndrome sister. I am also a teacher in an inclusion school, and I have my own daughter with special needs. So if you guys have any questions, leave them below, and I will do my best to answer them in a video. And the question is very simple. We want our kids to feel safe and happy, but if we make them too safe and happy while they're young, especially when it comes to social anxiety, well, how will they ever learn, and how will they ever transition from being loved with their parents and teachers into the adult world, which we all know could be a very harsh place. And I'd like to share this with you. So let's say you have said child and they have social anxiety, which the Queen of Down syndrome does. So let's get into this. And social anxiety isn't easy. We're around people all the time. Let's look at her. She goes to school. She goes to the store. She goes to different programs, and I'm not with her all the time. And this social anxiety can get pretty big. So the first thing is, and it's better to start it as young as possible, and that is to remove all, triggers. And that sounds scary because if you're removing all triggers, how are we teaching? But just trust me, remove all triggers. Make sure the child is safe. There is nothing that will trigger a social anxiety attack, and just let their nervous system kind of like calm down and let their brain settle with, I am safe. Now, why? That kind of sounds contradictory. And the answer is, if the child is safe, we can then lean in and start the teaching. Because imagine, you've ever heard of the word hangry? You're hungry, you're overtired, you're stressed out, and I dump a work project on your desk 5 minutes before the day's over and say, hey, guess what? Hand it to me within the next hour. You're like, no, my shift is over. I'm starving. I need out. And you look at me as if I'm crazy. And of course you can't perform the task. So let's approach it that way. And step number 1 is to remove all triggers. And please, this is so temporary, so short term, but we need the child to calm down. Step 2 is bombard with social stories. And they don't have to be something special that you pick up. Hey, let's look at the Elephant and Piggy book. They sometimes argue. They sometimes, have discussions. So again, depending on the level of your child, pick up a book that is age appropriate and just start reading it with them and say, hey, did these two characters get along? How do you think you could have done it better? What is something you picked up from their conversation? It could be a book. It could be a show. You could Google something on YouTube, friends fighting, whatever triggers your child. Just get them talking about social situations. It's fun. It's simple. And it is so natural. Now remember, all triggers are removed. And what we're doing is building the brain up to go back into society. So it may look like the child goes home, mom packs the bag, child goes to school, teacher doesn't call on the child even though the child knows everything, because that's a trigger. Now step number 2 is you want to now next step is slowly introduce the social situation. So let's say we'll use school, because I'm assuming your kids are in school right now. Let's say the trigger is raising the hand and calling on the student. So you arrange the night before is that the teacher is going to send home the question, the teacher is going to ask the child the question, and then this child will answer it. Now it's really simple. We're kind of practicing where the child feels safe. Now let's say this goes on 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. You guys know your child. Some children learn faster, some children need more time. And you set up where, let's say after 10 times in a row, you're going to randomly ask the child a question or maybe rephrase it in a way the child hasn't heard. So now we're going to add something new, something that's, oh my goodness. And I wouldn't say every single day. Maybe your child can handle every single day. In my experience as a teacher and sister, every single day is too much. But how about every few days? Maybe every week. You slowly add one step that's so simple, that's so different, and you go back to the first step. And then you add another one and you go back, and you slowly build up the child's confidence to whatever that social trigger is. And I know for the Queen of Down syndrome, at one point it was actually something as simple as raising her hand. She just couldn't do it. She didn't understand when the question was asked. She couldn't raise her hand. It led to a whole meltdown. And wow, it was just a lot to take in. So again, just a quick review. Number 1, you remove all triggers. Number 2, you add in just natural talking of social settings through books, through shows, through whatever resources, through dolls. That was a good one. dolls, set up scenes. So you introduce it slowly, and then you set up growth where you slowly make that child safe, and then slowly put in a trigger and another trigger and another trigger. And by the time you're done, this curated environment will allow that child to be in a social situation. And I actually want to share a story of something I did with a student. I had a student, believe it or not, she was older, her trigger was a pencil. I kid you not. Anywhere near a pencil, it would go flying across the table. It could hit another student. It was a complete trigger. Now, this student was easily, I believe she was in 5th grade, and her academic level was on an 8th grade level. Couldn't get her to write, which was unbelievable. Can't get the student to write. So here's what I did. I removed all pencils, not from the class, from her. I removed all pencils for her. And then we have something around Passover time called the Haggadah, in which her class, her group, was writing in full sentences. And I looked at her, I said, listen, of course I held the pencil. I said, listen, you have a choice right now, and whatever you choose, I want you to be happy. You can either choose to write the Haggadah with your peers, or I will take you down to a lower grade when all they did was color. They learned the same story, and she learned it with her peers, but all they did was color, and you could just color in the Haggadah while learning the story with the lower grade. Now, I knew what she was going to choose, and she chose to go with the lower grade. And I wasn't shocked. But here's the thing. We kind of set her up for success. Then after Passover, Pesach, we had a book report. Now, she read the book in no time. The book was, like I said, she was reading on an 8th grade level. So the book report was a no-brainer. And I decided to, and again, we kind of did the step-down process, to have her write a book report. Now, in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness. Not only is she writing in one blank with a pencil, she is going to have to write a whole entire book report. And my nervous system was like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? A pencil is a trigger. I kind of had to set myself up mentally. I gave her the book to read. I'm like, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And like clockwork, she threw the pencil. And she refused to write the book report. Now we have a tantruming 5th grader because I showed up with a pencil. And I felt like, it's okay. I pulled her aside and I said, listen. I said, here we have give and take. I brought up the story with the Haggadah, and I said, listen, I understand you don't like to write, and out of respect for you, I let you join the group of your choice. And did you have fun? Yes, she had fun. She loved coloring, and it all worked to her favor. I said, now I need you to give me something. I said, the whole class is doing these presentations, and you actually need to write something. I said, just write anything. And she picked up the pencil, and she didn't write, which I kind of expected, but she picked up the pencil. Now, step down process the next day. I'm like, hey, we're going to take this a step further. We're going to actually have to write something. And I said, just tell me about your book. I think it was about the Great Barrier Reef. It was like some sort of beautiful nature. Because I just remember as she was talking, I said, talk to me as if you're writing a movie. And she had the pencil in her hand. Remember, the pencil's the trigger. Student had pencil in her hand, and I'm like, yes, we're making progress, you know? And she's telling me, and I closed my eyes, because I remember I told her, tell me as if I'm watching a movie. So I closed my eyes, and I'm concentrating, and she's talking to me about this nature, and it's playing in my head. I said, great, now write down a sentence. And we threw the pencil, but she wrote the sentence. And every single step, I knew the pencil would go flying across the room. But we went from a kid who could not hold a pencil for a whole year to a kid who, granted, was probably on a 1st or 2nd grade level, wrote a book report with a pencil. And that's the thing. It wasn't about like giving in and about, okay, said student, you're just going to, write a book report. And yeah, I wanted her to be on grade level because her mind is brilliant. I can't even tell you, but this isn't about her mind. This is about social anxiety and about me showing respect. So Passover is about April. So we had all those months in the year where I did not trigger her. I'm like, no, this is your school. You are safe. And I'm going to show you that. And I'm going to make you feel that. And then bam, you're safe. Now you're not. We're going to give you a pencil. And we're slowly going to work our way up to the point where, hey, you can have your social anxiety, but guess what? It's not social anxiety anymore because I built you up from the inside to the outside. I respected you from the inside, and we slowly introduced you to trigger, came back, introduced you to a trigger, came back, to the point where she was able to write a book report for the first time in 4 or 5 years. And that's what it's about. Removing all of the triggers is not about letting the child have their way. It's not about letting the child kind of give in and say, okay, I have social anxiety, we're going to help you out. No, it's about me saying, stop. I'm an adult. I've been through my childhood. You have social anxiety. I'm going to take a moment, help you feel safe, and then together we're going to approach your social anxiety to a point where you're safe to then enter the next level. And eventually, especially if they go to school, when you hit the 8th and then the 12th grade level, you can then enter your adulthood with confidence. If you have any questions on this, social anxiety, or any topic that has to do with education, parenting, triggers, special needs, you name it, I've been there, I've done it, and I want to hear from you guys. I want to tailor this channel to you, so leave your comments below and I will do my best to either answer you directly or create a video, because this is a safe space for me as it is for you guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by.